What is the return on investment for higher education? Now, when we use terms like return on investment, our mind automatically goes to accounting or finance. And there's good reason for that. Finance is generally just the allocation of resources so that you ultimately achieve value with those resources. So it's the decision to allocate resources in a certain way, but your expectation is that you have a particular return on value. That is, whatever you have invested should return a certain amount of value. And generally, you use the concept of return on investment to compare potential allocations of resources. Now, one of the most valuable resources that we have is time. This is the concept of economics. That is, how do individuals allocate their finite resources? And one of those distinct resources is time. So if we make the determination that we are going to pursue higher education, we are allocating time. We're also sometimes allocating financial resources, and we are foregoing other opportunities. So it is, in essence, an economics decision, and you can use aspects of finance, such as return on investment, to gauge whether you are getting the amount of value that you expect based upon the amount of value that you are putting in. So let's dig into this a little bit deeper. The value that you put into achieving an education. Well, we've already mentioned that you allocate time and you allocate resources. But the question that will change in any given situation is what you give up. If you're giving up the opportunity to wait tables or to work in retail, for example, and neither of those are your intended career paths, that is, you're not starting out so that you can move up the chain in those specific industries, well, you're not foregoing as much as someone who says, perhaps, I want to be a film actor, and I decide to go pursue higher education, go to college, and I'm going to put a pause on pursuing this as a professional endeavor. Well, the reason I bring this up is because there is a finite window for certain types of roles or parts you would play. So if you're allocating that amount of time, you will never get that time back because you'll never be that age again, or you'll never be at that level or stage of your career again. So what you are giving up to pursue higher education is greater. You're giving up an opportunity that in its specific form may never present itself again. So I use this just to illustrate the point that what you are giving up to pursue higher education changes based upon your individual aspirations and particularly the industries or career paths that you are going to follow. Now let's look at the other piece of the puzzle, which is what is your expected return on investment? Now, many people pursue education because it is the only means or method or path to achieving what they desire. So what you are giving up is quite small because you can't have that thing without pursuing higher education. For example, going to medical school. You cannot become a medical doctor unless you pursue formalized higher education that allows you to pass the standardized boards. So again, what you're giving up is very small, or you could even say that you're not giving up anything. But if you go back to my example of being a film actor, actually pursuing higher education does not achieve the specifics of what you will want out of your career. That is, going to college is not likely going to increase the opportunities that you will have to get into feature films. Now, there may be a networking function there that accompanies going to certain schools, such as UCLA or other accomplished film programs, but actually getting the degree itself is not going to have a great deal of effect on your career path. So what is the return on investment for that scenario? Well, the return is actually quite small. Any of those things might offer a much greater return on the amount of time and effort you invest into it. So once again, I use these examples to illustrate 2 points. Whatever you do is going to require an investment of value. Whatever you expect to get out of it and whatever you actually get out of it is going to be, once again, compared against the amount of value that you put in, and this is your expected or actual return on investment. Expected would be the return that you expect going in, that is, when you make the decision to invest that value, your time, your effort, your money, etc. And then your actual return on investment is what actually materialized from you investing that time, money, and effort. So my questions to you are this. One, do you think individuals can or should make this type of logical deduction about their future career paths or decisions they make with regard to the industry or what they pursue for their life early on? Also, is there anything I left out in this equation? Are there other things to think about in terms of what is the return on investment? One thing that I do note exists is the plan B, or the alternative path. What if your primary career path does not pan out? Well, you have a backup. So what is it worth to you to have a backup? That value you receive has to somehow be included in the calculation of return on investment, even if you never need the backup plan. So there you have it. If you have opinions on the matter about what is the return on investment of education, how do you measure it, can people make this logical decision early on? Are there other considerations we haven't thought about? I'd love to hear your opinion. Jump down in the comments below, go over to thebusinessprofessor.com and start a discussion in one of our forums. But regardless, I hope to see you around the platform soon. Until then, take care.